All right, well, now it's time to visit with our good friend Diego, who's always got some excellent tips and ideas to share with us from his many years of wisdom and time spent at Microsoft and beyond. Hi, Diego. How you doing?
Hello, Jason. Hello, Anthony. And hello, world. I'm doing good. I'm here in my office. As you said, I've been collecting ideas for a couple of decades, things related to Microsoft and the tech industry. Use it to nurture my own sense of wonder, but also to share it with you. And today, I want to share one from this book. It's called Whatever You Think, Think the Opposite by Paul Arden. We're going to put it on the show notes. But basically, it's a page of that book, and it reads the following. It says, having an original point of view is a novelty. Recognizing its value is intelligence. But having the courage to stand up for it in the face of public opinion is what makes you a winner. So today I want to talk about that, fear and courage. Because here's the thing, Jason, about fear. We all have it. I have fear. I have lots of it. And I'm sure you might have some of it too. And folks in the audience, we all have it. Homo sapiens, we have fears. But fear is actually the biggest killer of innovation of all time. And in the tech industry, as our CEO Satya Nadella says, the tech industry doesn't respect tradition, it respects innovation. When you're innovating, you're going against the current, you're inventing something new, and you will be judged. And being judged is something that we are afraid of.
Yeah.
So here I want to illustrate a story from a book that I recommended before, but I'm going to recommend it again. Originals by Adam Grant, one of the most powerful books I ever read. And it tells the story of Copernicus, a Polish mathematician in the 1500s, also astronomer, who discovered that the Earth revolves around the sun and not the other way around. And he was afraid to publish this because there was not a concept we talk about at Microsoft a lot, psychological safety. He didn't feel safe publishing that information. So he sat on this amazing discovery for not one, not two, not three, but 22 years. It took 22 years to get published by one of his students, actually published it, not even himself. Now, was he wrong to be afraid? You know, probably not, because Galileo Galilei, an Italian astronomer 100 years later, who published things on top of Copernicus' discoveries, he was accused of heresy. He went to trial, got convicted, and was jailed for life in his home. He couldn't leave his home for life. So fear could be real. So we got to work on our courage, but we also want to make sure that we're working on an environment that values that innovation, that provides a psychological safety. Am I making sense so far?
Yeah, I was wondering if you were gonna, if you were headed towards the topic of psychological safety. I think that's one of the most valuable lessons for, you know, really everybody, including, you know, management, leadership, is to create that space so that people do feel that they can share their ideas and that they can get them out there. Because, you know, a lot of times we have ideas, sometimes they're not fully baked, sometimes they need a little bit massaging from other people, but to be able to feel like you can bring those ideas and not be judged, and, you know, they'll be welcomed, is really all that people need and all that teams need to really find the success that they're kind of already directed towards in the first place.
I love that. Yes, there's this quote that I used to like that says, "What would you do if you weren't afraid?" It was like a call to action, but I don't think it's realistic to not have fear. We all have. So the question is more, what would you do when you are afraid, you know? And philosopher Alain de Botton introduced this concept that we should all do in tech, which is budgeting for fear. When you work on projects and you're budgeting for resources and time, budget for fear. Assume that you have fear, folks on your team have fears. And the question, if you're a leader of a project, of a team, is what great ideas and perspective are not surfacing on your team because people are afraid? You know, and what type of safety can you inject in that environment? If you're the person with the idea, you can work on that courage, but courage sometimes is to publish, like Galileo did, and courage sometimes is to run for the hills. Like, it's okay to run away from an environment that is toxic for you, doesn't foster your growth, and go somewhere else. So you can ask yourself, who am I working for? Who am I working with? Are these people bringing the best of us, are allowing me to innovate, you know? And you can choose many times, not always, who you work for. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice. I was going to say, you know, fear is going to show up in a lot of different ways. But I think for me personally, most of the big things and the best things in my life have come from leaning into that fear, understanding that on the other side of that challenge is something that's, you know, something going to be very rewarding. And it's almost always paid off. You know, there's a few times here and there where I might have a little regret that I did or did not do something. Usually it's that I didn't speak up. So I think, you know, this idea of psychological safety and making sure that, you know, you create that space for yourself and for the people that you have relationships with is super important. Michael, and last but not least, Diego, what do you got for us?
You acknowledge your fear and you look at it right in the eye and you say to it, I will be bigger than you. And read these 2 books. These are highly recommended.
Excellent. Thank you so much.